right, hello everybody. Welcome. It's been a while.
Long time.
Sanctuary podcast, but here's the deal. Andres,
Russell,
welcome,
thank you.
Andres.
Thank you for welcoming me to our office.
It's my pleasure to welcome you to our office. Secondly, I want to say,
Yes.
You're wearing a sweater.
Yeah.
I just saw you take that off like 5 minutes ago.
Well, we want to keep some things a secret for those online. No, yeah, it was way too hot in here, but then my shirt is really wrinkled underneath, so I put the sweater back on.
So you're just suffering underneath the sweater.
Yeah, it's hot in here.
Wow. Well, the
I'm gonna
lights
need a sweat
are.
rag in a little bit.
Oh, do you have one?
No.
Well, the lights are LEDs. They shouldn't be putting off heat, so we're good.
Oh, good.
It may be snowing outside.
But
It's warm in here, and you're the warmest.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I'm happy you're here.
Thank
Zach is back there behind Corey's desk.
And Corey's home.
Probably still sick,
It's all right.
baby. But students came back from the retreat. That's why she's at home.
Safe.
That's right. Everybody
Yeah.
made it. And Andres, you had some cards.
Icebreaker game. So I bought this game for my students at Southern because they wanted to have like a fun Bible study that wasn't necessarily like looking at scripture. And I felt really awkward when I opened it and realized the categories were life, love, and sex.
I didn't see sex on there. That's crazy.
Just so people can see, there's plastic wrap around the sex. It was
unopened,
but love and life are. So Russ, if you really wanted to, part of this is there's actually, I think you would enjoy this. There's a little spinner.
I thought this was a floppy disk. That's why you said like I'd enjoy it because it looks almost like a floppy disk.
Oh,
You
no.
put in an old.
I mean,
computer.
you are old, but
I am.
So I figured we could answer some
Ooh.
questions.
Nice. Yeah.
But if it lands anywhere between love and sex, we're doing love.
All right.
And if it answers anywhere between sex and life, we're doing life.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, we're not doing sex.
All right.
So
You want me to spin for this?
Yeah.
That
an
was weak.
awful
I just
spin.
missed. Oh, hold on a second.
You really awful spinner.
Nobody look. Everybody close your eyes. Ooh, that was a good one.
Sex.
Right. That's not even between love and sex. It's just
straight sex. It's all right. We'll do love because you were really interested in answering a love question.
I was. Because you didn't even want to bring these to the table,
No.
and I was like, no, we got to give a good
Well,
one.
it's just embarrassing for Bree, maybe. So would you rather have a partner who's always asking for advice or someone who never asks for help?
Ooh, always, you know what? That's tough.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So Bree, if you're watching this,
Yeah.
you know?
Listen, asking for advice is nice,
Yep.
but also you just want someone who's confident in your life and who knows how to buy you a nice gift.
That's good. This seems a little personal.
I just mean like it's an applicable example.
Oh, okay.
It's real world. It's like, would you want me to ask you? Oh, I guess you might want to.
Yeah.
You're pretty picky about your gifts,
I am
huh?
picky about my gifts,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe the advice one then.
The advice one?
Yeah, the never asking for help, that's a pride issue.
That is a pride issue.
Yeah, so you're either dealing with like confidence or pride. I'd rather deal with confidence. We could fix that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We love that.
All right, let me ask you one now.
Oh, okay.
Were you planning on answering one or not?
Yeah, I was.
Please be love.
Life.
Ooh,
Perfect.
all right. I'm picking from the middle because you probably stacked the deck.
Yeah, against myself, for myself.
That's right. Andres,
Yes.
would you rather start every conversation with 15 minutes of small talk or get really deep right away with everyone you talk to?
Oh, yeah. I remember asking this question.
You knew.
Well,
How many times have you played this?
I've only played it once, but we got through a good portion of them. As much as I hate small talk, I think I would rather small talk because getting into a deep life conversation in the middle of a drive-thru when you're just trying to order food, rough.
Yeah.
I just want to get my food and go. I don't really care about your trauma.
They're like, hey, what'd you order? You ordered a number one with extra pickles because Chick-fil-A. And then what did you say in response?
What would I say in response?
If you're that deep sharer, yeah.
Oh, if I was the deep sharer?
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the time my boyfriend forgot pickles. Not my boyfriend. This is going downhill fast. All right. You want to...
All right. I say we each do one more, then we
Okay.
get down to business like
Okay.
Mulan. All right.
You
What?
really stink at this.
It started going clockwise. and it went
Another love
counterclockwise.
question, which is great.
Hey, I'll take it. My oldest son's nickname is Loverboy.
It is.
It is.
All right. Would you rather have a partner who's easily jealous or a partner who's completely unbothered?
Completely unbothered.
Nice.
Yeah.
No explanation? Or-
No, I feel like that's Brie already. She's completely unbothered.
That's
I've
good.
called myself a very average-looking white guy for a long time, and I feel like I live up to it.
I mean, the mustache really changed it.
It changed the game for me, but you know what? It's all right.
That's good.
She's unbothered. She's not scared of me getting swept away.
Amen.
You know, when she sees my hobbies.
When who sees your hobbies, your wife? Or
Yeah, my wife sees my hobbies. She's like, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah. All right. There you go.
There we
Russ.
go. Let's go. A nice love one.
A nice
I don't
love
even
one.
know which side you know more than the other side.
That's okay.
All right. Would you rather have your partner be very invested in your social media presence or be completely uninterested in it?
That's a good question. I'm okay with them being invested. Honestly, like I enjoy social media, but like I'm not the best. I post a lot, but I post a lot of stupid stuff. So if someone also was like, "Here's what you should post," great. I love that. That'd be helpful. So,
But what if they're like tracking your metrics and stuff? They're like, no, you need to post every day at 3 a.m.
I'll post every day at 3 a.m.
You really do that?
Yeah, when I don't really care.
They'd be like, look how green this matcha is.
At 3 a.m. No, I can only drink matcha after 12. So.
I know, but you got to make your posts.
Oh, I have to make it look like it. Well, Zach got he didn't get upset with me, but the other day I posted a picture of my cat, my oldest cat, like laying next to me, and I was like, oh, like, got to take advantage of these moments, which is true. I do.
Precious moments.
But they are precious moments. But then when I was in the office, like later on that day, I was trashing my cat because I was like, yeah, this freaking cat doesn't lay next to me ever, and it's the worst. And Zach was like, wow, you're really like a social media mom who yells at their kids to smile and everybody looks perfect, but they're not. So, well, this was great.
This was great.
Next time, maybe we could answer the sex questions. Nope.
I don't know.
All
yeah. All right. So we are inside, not in the snow, because it's a real blizzard, supposedly.
Supposedly.
And so we've never canceled Sanctuary this much ever. Well, in my experience.
And well, yeah, since you've been here,
It's been
we've
over
had-
3 years.
Yeah.
I think we've canceled once because of weather
yeah.
in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Like midweek, we had to cancel because of rain, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. But this is crazy. This is the third time just this series. And this series that we're in right now is about the gospel. I thought it'd be a great time to do a gospel progression.
Yeah.
And we had to push it back 2 weeks because it's 2 weeks in a row of snow. And so we're pushing up against at this point. We have retreat weekend, this weekend coming up.
Yep.
Then we have missions week the next 2 weeks. So I'm like, man, we got to finish the series. We're already going to cut off a week at the end of it, which is
man.
okay. But last week we left everybody hanging after talking about sin. So
Yeah.
maybe people out there feeling hopeless, like,
I'm an awful person.
I'm a sinner, but I thought there was some hope at the end of this.
Yeah.
Leave them hopeless.
Yeah.
So we had to put something out there, and that's why we're here today.
I love it. I'm excited. The series has been super, super good. I've enjoyed it.
You enjoyed the G-O-D.
Yeah. I mean, from the back. I haven't been on stage yet, unfortunately.
Why haven't you been on stage?
We're working through, I don't know. No, I just haven't been up there. One time I was doing lights. The next time
The lights are pretty great.
The lights are pretty great. The next time I don't know where I was, but yeah, next time.
Next time.
Maybe.
You should, because I think we have like one more shot at it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so
We'll
it'll be
just do it.
fun.
We're doing it with our global partners here.
That'd be
They
hilarious.
could be on stage with us.
That'd be really funny. I would like to do that. So, Andres,
Yes,
getting
sir.
into this topic for today,
Yeah.
have you ever sacrificed yourself for someone else's benefit?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I asked you this question a while ago, and you had an interesting response.
Oh, I did?
You did.
Oh, well, so my response is more in the like, my Ignite students think I'm crazy for saying this, but more in the like, I think most people say that they would sacrifice their life for someone. And I'm like, I think it's a nice thing for people to say of like, oh yeah, no, if someone came in here with a gun, I'd jump in front of you for them.
Don't stop the shooter, but just jump in front of you. I'm only gonna save
True.
Andres.
But I think there are a lot of people who are like, no, I would lose my life on behalf of someone else. When in reality, like, I don't think most people would. I think we would like to be the type of people who would do that. But like, high key, somebody walks in with a gun, like, I'm probably jetting.
I would like to think that, but I'd probably like faint.
True. Also true. I also probably wouldn't run that fast. Probably on the way out. Anyways.
Easy target.
But yeah, so I think the way you phrase this question is different. Of like I think there have been times where I've like sacrificed my own pride or my own ego on behalf of someone, like to not embarrass someone else, but I think of it more in like sacrificing my life. Have you ever sacrificed
Your whole life?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. But have you sacrificed?
I've sacrificed my well-being for somebody else.
What?
Can I share a quick story?
You can.
So I have an older sister. She's 2 years older than me. Most people know her at this point. She's preached at Sanctuary.
Yeah.
And she's coming back. But being a high school boy with an older sister in the house, she was having friends over all the time. And I was like, this is my chance.
That's it.
To make all of her friends fall in love with me. And so I had this genius idea one time. It was late at night. She had a whole bunch of friends over. I was full, stupid teenage boy. And my brother was home, and I was like, hey, do you know what would get these girls to love us? I said, we should go on the roof, and when they leave to go to their cars, we'll throw water balloons at them.
Oh, good.
And they're like, and Sam's like, yeah, it's a good idea. And so I really thought like I would hit one with a water balloon, and she would just like, I don't know, love me. Yeah. So the first one goes to leave, and we start throwing water balloons, and she ran back inside, which was unexpected. And she told everybody else, I guess. And so they snuck out a different way of the house, and they took the ladder that we used to get on the roof. So my brother and I ended up being stranded in the middle of the night on the roof, and we couldn't get down. We tried like signaling cars going by, and I guess we had enough shenanigans at that point where no car was upset seeing two boys on the roof.
Sure.
So they didn't call the cops. I thought the cops would come and save us or something. And eventually my brother and I just started like sitting, hanging out, having a heart-to-heart. He starts telling me about how much I mean to him.
That's sweet.
And I was really inspired, so I jumped off the roof.
Oh.
Because I was thinking, one of us is going to have to get the other one down.
Mm.
And so I jumped into the darkness. It was so dark outside, I didn't see that where I was landing, there was a giant branch in the yard. It was just complete blackness I was jumping into. And so the branch snapped. The ground came up also like way faster than I was expecting it to.
The ground came up?
Well, because like it was so dark I couldn't see where I was jumping.
I
jumped off the roof into my yard somewhere.
Yeah.
And I landed on the branch really quickly. Like all of a sudden the ground was there. Like I thought it was gonna take a lot longer to get down to the ground. Yeah. And I rolled, and I was in pain. But my brother, all he saw was me just jump into the abyss, and then he heard a loud crack. He thought I killed myself. Like I got really messed up, broke my legs or something. So he's freaking out on the roof. He's like, Russ, are you okay? And I'm like, oh, because I just jumped off my house.
Yeah.
I was okay.
That's good.
Yeah, so I got the ladder, let him down, but I saved him. I was a hero.
I understand why Bree's unbothered now. I get it. As you were talking, I was like, yep. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, so I sacrificed myself. That was really the only time I've ever done something like that.
Only time?
For somebody else's benefit, yeah.
Sure. Well, was it? Oh, because he could get down.
Yeah, I got the ladder at that point.
Yeah, okay, I got you. Well, none of those girls fell in love with you.
Not one.
Sad.
Yeah.
Who would imagine?
Not me, obviously. I thought it was going to work.
But so what is this? What does sacrificing yourself have to do with anything we're talking about?
Sacrificing yourself.
Or sacrificing myself. Yeah.
Well, that's the whole concept of what we're talking about today, because we've been going through this gospel progression.
Okay.
And how that goes is week 1, we talked about just expectations that we have around Jesus as a person. All of us have expectations, whether for good or for ill, around lots of things, but including Jesus. And so we talked about how we just need to confront those expectations. Then the next week, we talked about how we all have need in our lives. Those needs could be all over the place. Like we talked from John 9, I believe, which was Jesus interacts with a blind guy. Yeah, he's blind. Yeah. And he's a beggar. And how that guy had a significant need in his life. And he didn't know that the only one that could fill that need was Jesus. And we all have the same need in our lives, whether it's blindness or spiritual blindness. And the only person who can fix or heal our blindness is Jesus. So we have that same need. Then after that, last week, which was awesome, we had Rich Castillo. I call him mi hermano de chicharrones, which he says is improper Spanish.
Yeah.
But, as a non-Spanish speaker, he's my ham brother.
Your ham brother?
Yeah. Or a pork brother, because I love chicharron, and he does too.
That's good.
Anyways, he talked about sin, and he talked about how we're all serving a master. And
Yeah.
either that master is sin or that master is God, who's forgiving and restorative and all this like goodness stuff.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Yep, I do. I was there.
The really crazy part about his message is he talks about how like no matter what you do during the day, you always return to your master's home, which
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, that was a lot.
Yeah. No, it's good. And I think oftentimes we don't necessarily think about that of like, yeah, we make ourselves a slave to something. And I think some people could even sit there and say like, well, you know, like the major stuff, like I'm not addicted to anything, or like I don't really struggle with a lot, but at the same time, there's somewhere in our lives, no matter where we are in our walk with Jesus, that I think like we do have a master, like we do return somewhere. And I think if we look at our lives and ask the question of like, what is the fruit of our life, right? Fruit of the Spirit, what does the fruit of our lives look like? And if it's not the fruit of the Spirit, then that definitely means that there's somewhere that we've made ourselves a slave to. And it's good to kind of reflect on that.
Yeah. So then we moved from that week to this week, which is this week is all about the cross. And I didn't want a lot of time to go by without finishing our series, because it'd be sad to leave people hopeless last week if they were feeling hopeless. Like, oh, you know what? Like, yeah, I live my life trying to do the best that I can do.
Yeah.
But to be honest, sin's still my master.
Yeah.
And so leave people there. I didn't want to do that. I want to talk about the cross and finish up the series. So that's why we're here. And so to do that, I wanted to move us into talking about John 18 through 19, which is the whole a story about Jesus going to the cross and his crucifixion.
Yeah.
And the rising from the dead part, amazing, but we're not going to get there.
Yeah.
So in John 18 and 19, we see Jesus betrayed by Judas for 30 pieces of silver. And so Jesus is taken by the religious leaders with the temple guard, which I talked about before. The temple guard is like the religious leaders' secret police. Like they have their own police force.
Yeah.
And so they tie up Jesus and they bring him before a couple different groups, like the Sanhedrin, and they say
Who are
like
the Sanhedrin.
they're like the top tier of the religious leaders and the
Okay.
experts in the law. And they all agree that Jesus is being blasphemous, that he's saying that he's equal to God and that he is God, and so he must be put to death for blasphemy. But the problem is the Jews, they can't put people to death. So they can punish people in various ways that they're allowed to by the Roman government, but they can't do capital punishment.
Okay.
So they bring Jesus before Pilate, who's the governor of Judea, and they try to convince him to kill Jesus, and because he claims to be equal with God. But Pilate doesn't actually want to kill Jesus, and Pilate thinks that Jesus is innocent. But also at the same time, before we get there too, Pilate tried to please everybody by having Jesus flogged, which is like absolutely disgusting. Have you seen The Passion of the Christ?
Yes. I was on a retreat when I was a freshman in college, and the guy speaking actually showed that clip. And at the end of it, he was like, I don't know why you're turning your head. Like, you did that to Jesus. Like, you should watch what you did to Jesus. Super gory. But, like, I struggle still to this day to, like, watch that. Like, it is, they say it's, like, the closest, like, depiction of what that actually looked like, which is crazy.
Yeah. I was talking to Bree about this just this week because we were talking about the cross as well. And I was like, I've only seen The Passion one time. I saw it in theaters and it was so much. I can't watch it again.
Yeah.
It's just too much. Like, because the images are still in my brain. I was also a young kid when it came out.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure there's probably some trauma tied to that. You know, it's pretty messed up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Knowing that was my Jesus that happened to.
Yeah.
And there's some people that watch it like every year, every Easter. I'm like, that's a lot.
Yeah. I can't even, like, at Sanctuary during Good Friday service, when we even play like the sound of like Jesus being nailed to the cross, like just even that, I get teary eyed just at that, because very similar, like I can see the image without like just connected to the sound, and it's like it's brutal. but there is this reality of like, but it happened. Like we can't escape that.
Something I learned about the shooting of the Passion 2 when they have the flogging scene is that they use this thick piece of plywood on the actor's back who played Jesus so they could get the drunk Romans, because the Roman guards, in order to do something that awful, they would get pretty hammered in order to exact that punishment on somebody. So they wanted good video of them really whipping the actor who was Jesus and him responding to like the impact.
Yeah.
But there was a scene where they were practicing and a single piece of the cat of nine tails came around the side of the piece of plywood and it stuck in his skin and he fainted.
That's crazy.
Isn't that insane? Just a single piece of one strand, not even the whole strand, and he fainted. Yeah, so Pilate has Jesus flogged and then brought out. And he was like, all right, look, I punished him. Hands are clean. He's good, just like you guys said. And still after that, the religious leaders, the teachers of the law are like, no, crucify him, crucify him. So during this time, it was also the Passover feast. And the religious leaders also wanted to keep their hands clean so they could have the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And so they didn't want to like have any hand in touching Jesus at that point or giving any punishment to Jesus, because then they'd be ceremonial unclean. Yeah. They wouldn't be able to eat. So during this time, it was also tradition for someone who's been arrested by the Romans to be freed, even if they were guilty. And there was this guy named Barabbas. He was a zealot who had murdered somebody, and they're rebelling against the Romans. A genuinely bad guy. And so Pilate says you could either have Barabbas, who's a murderer, released, or you could have Jesus, who you call the King of the Jews. And that makes them super upset. But they're just like, just give us Barabbas, give us Barabbas. So Barabbas gets to go free. Barabbas was scheduled to be killed that day. Barabbas goes free, and Jesus takes his place. And so Jesus goes to be crucified. And the Roman soldiers put a purple robe on him. They twist together a crown of thorns. They press it into his head. They all take turns hitting him, spitting on him, mocking him, pretending to bow down to him. Yeah. And until they have Jesus carry his cross to Golgotha, which means the place of the skull, where they crucify him. As he's there, there's all sorts of other... There's so much to this. If you guys haven't read the crucifixion passages, go for it. Read Mark 15. Read John 18-19. They're very different, but it's all one story. It's from two people's perspectives, so it's worth reading both. John gets pretty graphic.
Yeah.
Mark has some really cool stuff, though, that John doesn't have. Same thing, John has stuff that Mark doesn't have. I think it's John that has the thieves on the cross that die with Jesus. Yeah. And one of them is mocking him. The other one's like asking for forgiveness. Mark 15, after Jesus dies, has a centurion that says, surely this must have been the Son of God.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see the differences. But Jesus lets out his last breath, because eventually what happens with crucifixion is your hands are nailed to the cross, your feet are nailed to the cross, and you're slowly being suffocated by your own body weight. So you got to keep pulling yourself up to take breaths. And eventually Jesus takes his last breath. He says, it is finished, what's finished, Andres?
That's a good question.
It's his...
Not that you caught me off guard, but like the whole thing, dealing with the old law and system of forgiveness, like his torture, his suffering, but also like a little bit of like even why the cross is important today, is like just the way that we get to interact with the Father now.
Yeah, that's right.
Everything changes in that moment.
Yeah. The plan that God put in place from the minute that sin entered the world has been accomplished in Jesus dying on the cross.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So that like it is finished is kind of just like, I don't know, Jesus like right before he takes his victory lap gets resurrected. It's like his mic drop moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that whole thing in and of itself, like what you were talking about, I think it's so significant And the writers of the Gospels could have just like, yep, Jesus went to the cross and like this happened, but like the way that they describe things, the way that they talk through things, even when you read through, and I know you had talked about it at some point during a Good Friday, but even Barabbas himself, I believe Barabbas was what was his first name? Was it Jesus? No, there's something a part of that that just they release Barabbas, who deserves death, who deserves like he was a bad guy. Like nothing about him was like, oh, this dude's lit. So to even see like the religious leaders like so like hell bent on like, no, kill Jesus. Like they were willing to let a criminal back into society over this man who is healing people, this man who is delivering people from demons, like this man who is actively doing good in the community. Now, sure, was Jesus a little bit of a like he was causing some problems in the religious like area, but like he flipped some tables, like he was calling the religious leaders broods of vipers, right? Like, yeah, he was going against the religious system, but overall, like, man, Jesus was doing good, yet they kill him, and like they're willing to take the bad for the good, which is crazy.
It is crazy. Even what you were saying, someone like Pilate, not a believer, noticed that the religious leaders were sending Jesus to his death purely out of spite. The Bible in John 19 records that it was purely from spite that they were sending him to his death.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's just the things that he was doing in the name of the Father and in the authority of the Father that the Messiah would do. The religious leaders were looking at being like, the Messiah wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
This guy's a phony. How dare he feed 5,000 people? It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But we also have the power of like hindsight to look back and see the work of Jesus throughout his life and then after his death too. Yeah. So, because I often relate with the religious leaders because I'm a religious leader.
Yeah.
So what are the chances that I would have been one of them? It's pretty high. But that's just like interesting to think about. And something that I wanted to talk about too, because I wanted to kind of talk about like the basics of all these different subjects over these weeks, is that nowadays the cross holds a lot of significance. Yeah. When you see a cross, there's a whole bunch of stuff tied to it that didn't exist before.
Yeah.
And so even the question of like, why the cross? Why a cross? Why did Jesus have to die on a cross?
Yeah. 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 I think what you're saying is like Jesus dying on the cross, 2,000 years ago, it really carried no significance other than the fact that like the Romans used the cross to kill people. That was it. And I think it's interesting over time that I know people who have said like, like it's crazy. Well, I think it's crazy too, in some degree, like that we even use the cross, like people wear crosses all the time, but it's like the cross was literally like it was used to kill people, yet we use it in a very counter what it was used for, to point to like the life and the hope that we have in Jesus. But back then it was nothing special. It was just like, oh, well, we execute people. This is the best way to execute them. And even worse, the Romans were like, no, they get to suffer a lot while we execute them on the cross, so might as well do it.
So something that I learned while studying this too was that for high-class people with some sort of status, they used an axe to behead them. So beheading was the high-class way to go. If you want to go out in style 2,000 years ago, beheading, let's go.
Hey,
all right.
Hey.
But if you, like, death on a cross was shameful. It's something you wouldn't even talk about in public. It was like, yeah, they wanted you to suffer because you're a terrible person, so you got put to death on a cross. If they wanted you to have a quick death because, you deserved it, you were born to a rich family, we'll let you die quick, it's an axe. Yeah. So it's like, wow, if Jesus had any sort of status in that day, we'd all be wearing big old, like, blades. Battle axes, right? Like like an axe on a handle. Like we'd be wearing that around our necks, and people would in churches everywhere, there'd be axes rather than crosses, which is a crazy thing to think about.
Weird.
So, yeah, but imagine looking at an axe that is used for chopping people's heads off and being like, that represents life.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're doing with the cross.
Yeah. And I think it's just, and it's what's cool is Jesus coming into the world in so many ways, like, is just, everything is so like countercultural, to even the point of when, think about a couple days after not the resurrection, but after the cross, you have the two men who are walking back. It's called the road to Emmaus. And Jesus is walking with them. They have no clue that Jesus is walking with them, because it says that he like kind of distorts himself a little bit or disguises himself. And they're like, man, if like, did you not hear what happened? Like, the man that we thought was the Messiah died. And there's just something in that of, the way he died, like it wasn't anything special. Like, he died next to two thieves. Nobody really cared that he died. Yet now we celebrate, and now we like, and even that is such a weird thing to think about. Like, we celebrate and we remember the death of Jesus, which feels so weird, but it means everything to us, like it's just so countercultural to what you would expect.
Yeah. I think it's kind of interesting, like, because we also ascribe so much value to the cross, if there was like a biblical prophecy that one day God's going to come in the flesh and be killed on a cross, and there was significant to crosses back then, they could have just been like killing people, being like, maybe we'll fulfill the prophecy today.
Yeah.
We'll kill the Messiah if we keep killing people on the cross. It's like, imagine if that was like an expected thing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. Like, they weren't just killing everybody hoping that they were going to fulfill some ancient prophecy. It's just kind of like an interesting thought.
Yeah.
That like there really was no value there.
Yeah.
And it's gotten all the value since then.
Yeah. Well, but what's cool even too, though, is you look at, like, there are so many prophecies written about Jesus that they didn't know about at the time, but like they also all led to the death of the Messiah for us. Like, all from Genesis all the way through, like, there's something pointing to this man who was going to come, or God, who's Messiah, who's going to come and save his people. Everything about Jesus just wasn't, he was a carpenter, he came from Bethlehem or Nazareth, like nothing was special about this Jesus. Yet he changed the entire world, even in just that one act, like that in and of itself is just, to me, it's like, man, there's so much impact in what we're talking about when we talk about the cross, when we talk about his death, his resurrection, and I think that's why like the cross has been so significant to us, and like thinking about like, even why did he have to die on a cross? Why did Jesus have to die at all? I think there are people who ask that question of like, well, who really cares that like what was the reason that Jesus had to die? Why did God even give an option of Barabbas or Jesus? Like, why didn't he just let Jesus go free? And then you read even in the garden accounts of Jesus like crying out and saying to the Father, like, if there's any other way, like, let it happen. But if this is what you want, like, then your will be done. There's so much in there that's like, why was it the cross? Why did Jesus have to die?
It's like you read my notes.
Perfect.
Because a bunch of stuff you said in there was something I wanted to get to, so I'm happy you said all that.
Yeah.
Because giving like historical context here is Jesus had to die on the cross because of sin. So sin back, I'm just having a hard time figuring out where to start. It's a big subject.
It is a big subject.
So before Jesus died on the cross, how people would handle their sin is that there would be a shepherd who would raise a perfect lamb. I think shepherds in general were always looking for this perfect lamb because it's something that you're going to need a lot of. Yeah. And when they would find this absolutely perfect, unblemished lamb, it's perfect in every way. It's also a male, which is very specific for this. They would bring it to the priests, and the townspeople would come around, and while the priests held the sheep, the lamb, everyone would come over and they'd lay their hands on the sheep, and they would confess their sins before God. And through that, they were confessing their sins on the Lord, but also putting the price of sin on that sheep. So that lamb now was going to like be almost like a reservoir holding like a bank of all of their sin that they confess.
Yeah.
And then after everybody had a chance to confess their sins, the priest would go and slaughter the lamb. And so it was this symbolic sacrifice of a substitution, because this is the deal. Romans 3:23 says that's for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And Romans 6:23 says that the wages of sin is death. And so we're all racking up debt all the time. We're sinning all the time, and if we could see the number over our heads, like if it was like a number value, just constantly it's ticking up and it's increasing. We have if those were our investments in our 401k,
we'd be doing great,
killing it. But we're racking it up all the time. It's this debt. It's the wage. It's the payment for sin, and we're getting a lot of it. And the only way to pay for sin is death. So someone's gonna die. So that lamb was taking the whole village's place.
Yeah.
That lamb died for everybody else. It was this symbolic, sacrificial, substitutionary sacrifice.
Yeah.
That perfect, unblemished lamb for your sin. But the problem was those people would lay their sins on this lamb and probably walk away and immediately start sinning again. If they're anything like me, I'd be racking it up right away. I'm like, well...
I'd probably be racking it up while this lamb was being slaughtered.
Yeah. So it's like it didn't really hold well.
Yeah.
But that was the point of Jesus. Jesus is God's perfect, unblemished, male sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
And so what makes the cross special is just like the priest holding that lamb while everybody's laying down their sins and confessing their sins before the Lord onto this lamb. God himself poured like the fire hose of sin on behalf of the whole world on Jesus himself.
Yeah.
So that anyone who would believe in Jesus and anyone who would accept that Jesus was their substitutionary sacrifice could be free from sin and death forever.
Yeah.
So that substitution is still happening, and rather than it being symbolic, it's the true substitution.
Yeah.
So the cross became special because God decided that was the tool that was going to be used.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
That's maybe, isn't it as amazing as that sounds? And I know the answer to this, but isn't that harsh of the Father to do that to Jesus, his son, to pour the weight of our sin out on Jesus? Like, I hear that, and maybe from a non-Christian point of view, I would look at that and say, well, that's really harsh. Why would the Father do that? Why would Jesus allow the Father to do that to him?
Yeah, it's a great question. Kind of like the same way that I don't know if you've ever been around. You have like a young relative or a relative that you really, really care about that's sick.
Yeah.
And they're really struggling. I've had this with my kids, and my kids are just so sick. And I just think in those moments, I'm like, man, if I could take this away from you, just like transfer it to me somehow. And I know it sounds dumb. And I was the sick one and you were the healthy one, I would do that faster than I've ever done anything in my life.
Yeah.
And I think Jesus sees that as the same thing. God looked at us in our sin, and he's like, if there's anything that I could do to bear this and make them free, then I'll do it, because he is the good Father.
Yeah.
And a way better Father than I am.
Yeah.
And he's actually able to do something like that.
Yeah.
So God himself came down. It's not like he made a new person to be like, well, I need somebody else to take this because I don't want to bear this. He's like, no, I'm going to bear this myself personally. Makes himself flesh to bear that personally when none of us could.
Yeah.
And so it is harsh, but he's harsh on himself. Like, he took that his very self. He didn't make anybody else do it.
Yeah. And all done out of love, out of this desire of like, and actually I love them so much, right? Like John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he sent his only begotten son. And it is this reality of even what you're saying, right? There's so much like theology behind that of like God himself coming in the flesh, but Jesus, like he comes like Jesus, God, Holy Spirit, like all together, we're there from the beginning. The second man sins, it's like, hey, they know what's happening, like Jesus, in that moment, God says to Adam, like, hey, here's what's going to happen. Like, there's someone who's going to come who will redeem all of this, right? He tells that to Eve. And like Jesus knows, like, that's me. Like, I'm going, and I think it's important to know, like, the Father had a plan from the beginning, and it was sending Jesus, who is God, like, incarnate, like God in the flesh, to us to take on the weight and the pain of our sins. But also to know, like, man, Jesus is fully sitting in heaven. As you were talking, my ADHD brain was like going all over the place, and I was just thinking about all the different like worship songs of like Lamb of God, Anointed One, who was and is to come, seated on the throne above. Like, there's this reality that, like, yes, the death of Jesus, like, it is weighty, and it happened for us. But it happened so that we could have hope, because Jesus didn't stay dead. It's not like, oh, well, we serve this God who just died and, okay, great. His sins, like all of our sins taken away, Jesus died. But no, he resurrects again, is seated at the right hand of the Father. And like when we sing these worship songs to him, it's out of the fact of like, yeah, like Lamb of God who is slain on my behalf so that I could freely worship God. So there's no longer this like veil in between us where, I no longer have to go to a priest to forgive my sins. He's already forgiven my sins.
That's right.
Like when I encounter my sin, or, when God looks at me, Sam was talking about this on our retreat 2 years ago, that hasn't left. Like when God looks at me, Jesus stands in front of me and says like, nope, it's me. Like when God, the judge, is looking to say like, all right, like someone's got to pay for the sins. Jesus steps in front of us and is like, no, it's me. I already did it. Like, it's already been done. That's just like, like that's who we worship. That's who we praise, is this God who, yes, sin entered the world, but he died on our behalf so that we never have to fully deal with the weight of shame, of sin, of like discomfort from our own sin, which I don't know. I think it's crazy to think that, I've said this a couple times, like it's hit me more recently. Like there's a God who chose me, who said like, I love you so much that I would die for you, like no matter what, no matter how much wrong I do, no matter how much I turn away from him, like you were saying, like if there was a number on top of my head of like how sinful I was, like he has every right to look at my sin and just be like, yeah, nope, you're a goner. Like, let's put him down. Instead, he's like, no, I died so that you could have life. And actually so that like you become spotless in my sight, which is crazy.
It is crazy. It also brings us back to the whole reason why we talked about Barabbas in the first place.
Yeah.
Because the reason why Jesus was even able to be killed on a cross that morning was because that cross was made for Barabbas. That cross was crafted and built and set up to kill Barabbas that very day. And so Barabbas was like sitting in his jail cell, probably dreading every single morning that came, knowing what laid ahead of him. He's like, man, I got a painful, really torture-filled death. Yeah. They're going to whip me with this cat of nine tails. They're all going to take turns beating me up and spitting on me, making fun of me, that the fact that I'm being killed. Yeah. So it's a hit to your pride. It's a hit to your physical body. And then you're actually finally killed on a cross after a long, excruciating day. And they wanted to hurry up the killing process. They went through and broke the legs of the thieves. It's like that all laid before Barabbas. He was getting closer and closer, and that cross is made for him with his name on it. And then to all of a sudden be free and leave the jail cell knowing that Jesus took your place, and then maybe later learning, oh man, that guy was innocent, and he died on my cross. That's a lot. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, that's our story. Yeah. Is that, like I said before, the 2 Romans verses, it's for the wages of sin is death. And we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Like all of us should have died on our cross.
No.
We all earned that place from the different things that we've done, the different sins that we've committed many, many, many times over. We've all earned that horrible death. And that Romans 6:23 verse ends with, but the free gift of God is eternal life.
Yeah.
So Jesus has offered all of us that opportunity that even though that cross is made for us and he is completely innocent, he took it so that we could be free forever.
Yeah.
So I think that we all need to take that opportunity to reflect on that.
Yeah.
That, like sometimes I sit around and I realize how evil I am. And sometimes I go about like my days dreading the next day because of the decisions that I've made. And even these worldly consequences are too much for me, not even the spiritual eternal consequences. But knowing that Jesus gives me freedom, if I accept his free gift of forgiveness, that's everything.
Yeah. I think about like I most of us don't and probably won't ever fully understand it because you know what? Most of us have never had to stand trial for the things that we've done wrong. Most of us will never have to stand trial for the things that we've done wrong. So to understand someone saying, you know, what I said to you of like someone saying, I'm willing to die in their place, or I'm willing to sacrifice myself so that they don't have to experience embarrassment, or, you know, like we won't fully understand that, I think, until we really are seated in front of the Father and get to see like the glory of this King who died on our behalf. And I just, it really like, and it makes me like this whole podcast, I've been like, as you're talking, like fighting off, like, just like wanting to cry. Cause it is like, we don't fully understand the death that we deserve and how good the Father is that he would die on our behalf. Like that's why Good Friday is one of my favorite like things that we do here at BlackRock, but in general, one, I gave my life to Jesus on a Good Friday, which I think is like really sweet for me, because it every Good Friday is, it's like just this reminder of like, man, I went from death to life. You know, like scripture says, like, while I was an enemy with God, like while I was dead in my transgression, while I was dead in my sin, like Christ came, and he found me worthy enough. Like he found me worth loving. He found me worth dying for. Like everything that we search for in the world is found in him. You know, going through a relationship series with Ignite, that's like, man, my heart desperately craves to know what it looks like to have someone look at me and say, I love you regardless of your fault. But here's the reality. I will probably never find that fully in a human. Like, yes, if I do get married, there's some of that, but to know like, man, there's someone out there that sees all of the wrong I've done, chooses me anyways, died for me anyways, loves me anyways. Like, that's just, I think it's so unfathomable to the mind, but that's the love that our God like provides for us. And I think it's why, you know, we've had people who have come to Sanctuary before and they're like, man, like I would have never expected, like people look really passionate. Or like a while back, we had someone come to one of our worship nights and they were like, man, like there were people crying. And I was like, yeah, that's because they know like their debt had been paid. And they were like, well, they're worshiping because like he's the only one worthy of our affection, of our love, like because of what he did on the cross. He deserves every part of our lives, you know? And it goes back to that master thing of like, man, imagine your master is the one who died for you. He said, actually, you know what? I'm going to die so that you could actually sit in my place. Crazy.
It is. You actually referenced this passage that I want to read as we finish up.
Yeah.
It's Colossians 2:13-15. It says, when you were dead in your sins and in the uncircumcision of your flesh, God made you alive with Christ. He forgave us all our sins, having canceled the charge of the legal indebtedness, which stood against us and condemned us. He has taken it away, nailing it to the cross. And having disarmed the powers and authorities, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross. So there are some people out there who they've heard this message over and over again. They've heard the message of the cross. And there's somebody like me who, yes, I know that Jesus has triumphed over death, and I no longer need to carry that guilt and shame of my sin with me because I know that I'm free and I'm free forever. But sometimes I start doubting that. And so I start carrying my sin and shame again. Yeah. And I'm like, Jesus, that was really good a couple years ago, but right now, like, I'm pretty upset with myself. I keep making these same mistakes. And then I start going and hiding in my sin and shame. Yeah. And I could still go to a church service and I could hear this message. I'm like, yeah, Jesus forgives me. But then I still feel such shame and guilt over decisions that I've made. It's because I've taken those back. I've been like, Jesus, you had that part of my life, but I'm taking this back because this is too sinful and too bad for you to have. I'm too ashamed. I'm too dirty to give this to you. So if you're listening to this, and that's where you are, where you've reclaimed some of your sin and shame and your guilt, give that over to Jesus. Yep. You don't need to carry that. It's the whole reason for that substitutionary sacrifice, so that you can stand before God and God looks at you and he sees Jesus reflected in him. Yeah. He doesn't see the dirtiness, the guilt, the sin. He sees Jesus. And for those of you who are hearing this for the first time, it's the same deal for you. Is that Jesus died in your place when you deserved death, so that you can live forever with the Father in perfect relationship, so that when God looks at you, he sees Jesus in your reflection. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, you actually referenced, did you realize you referenced that Colossians passage?
No, I knew I was, but I think that, I think that was a beautiful way of just like, people, it's easy to forget what was done, or to know it in our heads, but to not know it in our hearts, you know? And I think I think sometimes it's just a reality of like walking with Jesus, you know, like you get so comfortable with it too in some ways that you forget, like, wait, no, like he did die for all of these things. And it's just a beautiful reminder of like, hey, go back to the cross. And which is why I'm grateful that we have a Good Friday service every year. Because it is a place of like, man, sometimes I forget, and then I go to our Good Friday service and I'm like, oh, that's right. Like, yeah, I needed to be reminded of that. So yeah, that's just a good reminder, Russ.
Cool.